Hello everybody, welcome back to Fink's Wright, Ace Attorney, and what should actually be the end this time. And it would be 27 episodes, just like I thought. Great. Fuck. Now then, will the defendant Miss Lona Sky please take the stand? Miss Lona Sky, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. I think I'm losing my voice. Oh shit. You know that I've done these past 2 years. At least I'm losing my voice at the end of the series. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Sky. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Oh, my throat does not feel that good. Ooh, I don't think I can hit the deep stuff with the judge. Ooh. No matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. My word. First, tell us about your relationship with Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Maybe it's because of Nocto Drive. I don't know. My throat feels weird. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted, and nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana, if this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. Unless she's telling the truth. She's not. I know my own sister. Or she speaks stiffly like that. She's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. This is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Is this the one that... Oh, no. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then. That would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Sky were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why... There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about this, Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife, and... Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. What she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago. Okay. Don't know what I actually have to do here. You say you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is what happened to the other murder weapon. Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. That was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. You're trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Okay. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound. Then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You thought people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I'll ask for the sake of the others. Why did you... why do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Well, let's add a still initial testimony. The reason this knife separated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife would be a murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt that the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound. Because I hated Dark for what he did. Let's press this again and choose the other option. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gates' desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain in more detail. The piece of the jar that shared during the event threatened my claim. This is definitely it. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, the wretched jar Mr. Wright showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it has been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would have been clear right away what had happened. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during the struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. I have a feeling there's more to it than that. But there are pieces you would not... Objection! Yeah. Miss Scott, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean a forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered. If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been useless. Even so, I am compelled to bring everyone's attention. A significant contradiction within your testimony. Contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the event started my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have been broken before he died. He could have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to the jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you are as in the dark as we are about the truth toward which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, witness may now continue testimony. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room, and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments are large, so I'm sure I got them all. Oh, I immediately found a contradiction. You mean you were the one who wiped away this message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin cross-examination. I found a contradiction. Bow, 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 bow. So I'm sure I got them all. Well, we found a piece in Gant's safe, so you know you did not get them all. Miss Sky believed this jar concealed truth even you were unaware of. Huh. We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them. Yes, leaves us with only one explanation. I prosecuted Marshall and murdered. You were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? A huge piece like that? Fucking hell no. These are too big for anyone to miss, let alone Nate's detective. It may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even once I wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I have been implying that the person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for Doc downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he have the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Oh! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Eamon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question, what is this action called? Fabrication. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And here is the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the chief puppet. Ugh, biting your thumb so much that blood comes out. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't! It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defendants make up the most foul lies to defend clients. Foul lies? That's rich, coming from my own client, and you, fabricating evidence of all people. I guess you do seem like a type who likes to twist the truth. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Was something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe you're right after all. What do you mean, Mr. Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright. Miss Scott, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Scott, if you will. I can't. There's nothing more to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change anything. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time. Final testimony. Oh boy. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. Chief Gant helped me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword. And you were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. But to me, it's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana says she gave it to you this morning, right? And something from her then. Let's check it out again. No, not the attorney's badge. Oh, there it is. That's really pixelated. Unlike the 3DS version. Oh my! This is the actual crime scene! No other detective saw the crime scene like this. That's because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged the scene. Mr. Wright! That piece cut off from his vest! Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Camp's safe? What's this? Bum, 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 bum. It's a handprint. Oh boy, here we go, it's time. That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those must be the real murderer. Those fingerprints are yours. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Here we go. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of... There it is. Come now, Haji. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief can't. What, now you want to make me out as a bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined testimony. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be the risk the judge was talking about. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ugh. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. What, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over near Marshall causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present now. I never do this, but this is the one time I'm going to save in the middle of the episode. When you save a game in the original, it boots you back to the title screen. It does not do that here. You'll be the one appearing before the board inquiries. What do I do now? Better think this through carefully. Can't afford to make the wrong decision. The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. Alright, time's finally come to show it to them. Prince of gotta be chiefs. Now then, let's see his conclusive evidence. That's a piece of leather clothing. Yes, it most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Raito has checked. Haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Sky's, Miss Emma Sky's. What? They're mine? So I really did do it? See? I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? But give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. No. It appears we have our killer. No! Everything hints on that point. In the end, Lana was found guilty. That is the only game over you are going to see in this series. That is, I guess, an alternate ending of sorts. But that's why I saved to show that off. See, let's not present that! Not how I remember the scene actually going, funnily enough. But, yeah, that happened. Oopsie! Yeah, just instant game over. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lied. Chief Gant, you opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you were presented. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? That means you, the chief of police, concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made her look like the blame lay with her sister, that's when she saw the scene. She would ask for my aid. So you assisted Miss Scott. I thought to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When we rearranged the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene. Piece of evidence. You know, items in your safe? But why? For insurance. Of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean we're calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? Who do you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See his jaw fragment? I hid the most eligible part of his name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean a piece of cloth? Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have sown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle, and a long game, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright, let's see this conclusive evidence. Those who actually murdered Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Take that!
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this cloth. Your Honor, the prosecutor requests that be immediately sent to a lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to have been left so clearly. You mean It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? Do you mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints were on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to are Emma Skye. Emma Skye? They're mine! I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? You're really something, Wright. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still try to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye, you knew his fingerprints was were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer. Before I do that, there's one more thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Because there should be blood on it. This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's what would make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth! Wait! There's no blood on it! Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt that she sewed the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on a sword. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he shoved it aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the arm or sword? And to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out the bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? With a very accurate grain insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. No! Take that, you lightning motherfucking bitch. That was close, Ryle. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegation? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji. Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Wright? You have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true! The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of evidence cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair! Did you actually think you could invest me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, true. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plans finally arrived. Mr. Wright, you admit to it? You purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth. I did not. Certainly, I refused to present evidence at one point. Ah, so the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Auntie! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward! You can't let him... There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct a non-violation of law, do so now. Not that one. Not that one. Evidence law. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indiana's guy's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. Goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case and trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. Well, what kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture. Sorry, but can you recall? When was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, this piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. The day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. So only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day. He insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr and convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman. Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please follow up an investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. It would only increase the amount of blood and you couldn't finish what you started. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it out. Worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake. Take the gumshoes. Bloody handprint. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. And you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, we couldn't think of any other way to move the body. We broke the trunk, but what's the big deal? You pulled down a lot more than us detectives. What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How could you get Miss Skye involved in all this? Well, she had enough to lose that idea the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take. Well, you left a jar fragment and gloves. Yeah. Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, what are you doing in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were a fine investigator, an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. This trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. Time I had Gant help me forge evidence up to the day. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. Sorry, Miss Skye, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Oh, that's real nice. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. It's you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, oops, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye, yes, Your Honor, you are innocent of murder. However, Although the chief blackmailed you, the fact that you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I fell free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial's gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Fawn of Sky, not guilty! Confetti for the final time! That is all. The court is adjourned. 5:03 p.m. Oh god, that got out late. No, I guess not too late. Emma last is finally over. Emma? Wow, long face. I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. At least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. That's not it. Just now, after a trial ended. I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. Gumshoe! What is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Being that taken when all out of duty. Stop really calling me out sitting up with people at funerals. Hey, let me up, pals. I'm only kidding. Are you here because of my sister again? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Aunt to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. Scared of how you react if you knew. But sis, you're only doing it for me. I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. Emma. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our path. And once we found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Stop hiding, come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't change my own mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth not told me that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary. But I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth. Who knows, given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Yeah! What is it, the pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show me what I was talking about. Oh my god.
Take that!
The evidence list. The picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends I need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Oh god, sorry about the yawn. Whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better be getting back too. Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, there's a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I start on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. What is it, detective? I did a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't about to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, maybe okay with me, but the folks at the prisoners are a different story. Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Wait, good, take it. I didn't know you had to go outside. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? What, you think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. What is it? I suddenly feel like I'm on the screen. Since we're all here, why don't we go together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Objection! Oh, and that's the end of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Oh, wow. Man, this game is even better than I remember it. I feel like I've said that for every fucking Let's Play I've played that I've played before. And here we got a nice little thing of the end where we get the fingerprint. See a nice picture. Get that out. is really good. It's so good. It's fantastic. Now, my favorite of the series, I'll give Spirit of Justice as my favorite of the series. But this is a very good start. It has problems that I believe are fixed by its sequels. But this game is still extremely good. In this final case, while people complain about how long it is, and I do agree, it's a ridiculously long case. I will really like it more just going back and looking at it again. It's very fitting of an ending. Especially knowing the fact that it's created after Justice for All Trials and Tribulations and how this will relate to that. It's very good. Nice setup for Apollo Justice 2. I don't remember, I think this was released before Apollo Justice, I think this case was. Nope, there's more. New mission to guard the manager, take care of Billy. Oh god. But yeah, this game was supposed to be way shorter for me. I thought I could get it done maybe a week and a half. And that didn't, with bulk recordings, that did not happen at all. God, I forgot how long. I forgot just how long the fourth case was. It was longer than I remembered. And this final case was definitely way longer than I remembered. But it was still very good to go back. And this was a very interesting experience for me of just playing this and just mostly reading the entire time, pretty much. And trying out different voices that, killed my throat. It was very, 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 very good. And I can't wait for that new game that's going to come on Switch. They already announced they're making one for Switch. I just, we don't know when it's going to be out yet. I can't wait for it because I love these games. They're great. I don't have a way to record 3DS footage. I don't have a 3DS capture card. So I can't record the sequels just yet. I'll probably get a 3DS capture card eventually someday. So if I ever play a sequel, it won't be for a long time, and that's fine. If you're wondering if I'm gonna say on my next Let's Plays or whatever, I'm still doing Last of Us Part 2 at this time. This will be out before Last of Us Part 2 is over. I already know what I'm gonna do after Last of Us Part 2, so whatever. It'll involve another character with the color blue, let's just say that. But yeah, this game is a great start to the series, and this Case 5 I think is a fantastic addition. I very much disliked this case when I first played this game years ago. I very much found it confusing and very difficult and frustrating, but I changed my mind. This is way better, kid. This is so much better. Now, it's very good. Definitely not my least favorite case. Hello, second game with case number 3. I think it was case number 3. Oh boy. And even then, that's not a bad case. It's just, still, though. Nice to have. This music is really nice. Now, oh my. Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing Nichols' objections. Still, I can't go back and become a full-fledged spirit medium. My afternoon training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. Oops. So yeah, at this point, Last of Us Part 2 will happen next. You'll have more episodes. More episodes that will be more frequent, but I have a feeling I'm nearing the end of that game. I just have that feeling. Still, yeah, I'm at a loss for words of what to, say with this ending. It was interesting trying to find what translation and localization differences. There's not too much. It is very hard for me to find translation and localization differences for this, and I doubt I would find many or any at all for the other games in this series, except for Investigations 2, because that game was never released over in the West. Also, Investigations 2 is great. It is very much a shame that game has not been released over out of Japan. It sucks a lot that it wasn't. If I want to see one, all I have to do is open this book. What do you mean by that? Come on. There you go. A letter? What's in the letter? That's so sweet. And that's what Wright's Attorney's all about, those sweet moments after you're done with everything. But yeah, that'll be all. Thank you for watching my series that went on longer than I expected. Wow, this won't even be the longest episode. Not even an hour. I did expect it to get to an hour, but it's not an hour. It's close, but not quite. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you with Last of Us, or if you don't care about Last of Us Part 2, then we'll see you in the next series. So, see you then.